What's going on is what's not, what's good, what's going on is what's not, what's good, what's going on is what's not, what's good, what's going on is what's not,
What's going on in sports? Five takes no fraud. Coach Jack on the mic, hit the crowd.
Yes, Lord.
From the field to the mic, Coach Jack gon' lead. Motivation, dedication, that's all that we need.
Coach Jack in the building, bringing voice to the game, breaking down the plays, not just stats, wisdom in the name. Kenwood pride on the mic and hot takes, everything gets real. From locker room talk to the coach on the block, those Migos network, yeah, we never gon' stop. Unfiltered, with the knowledge to applaud, say it with your chest, fam.
Yes, sir.
What's going on in sports?
What's good, folks? It's your man, Coach Jack, and welcome to this week's episode of What's Going On in Sports, featuring yours truly. So, amazing show lined up for you guys. We're going to have a personal conversation today. You know what I mean? We have some things, but Coach Jack is going to share some things that's on his mind. First and foremost, I want to give you guys a huge thank you for all the views, shares, likes, comments, and everything like that. Like, this show is definitely picking up steam and getting traction. My biggest thing is I always want to make sure that we highlight what's going on local, more than just mainstream, because these people definitely do deserve their flowers, be it, you know, you young players of any sport that you play, the coaches that are out there with them, teaching and cultivating the next generation of players. Anybody that has anything going on, you know what I mean? I definitely want people to know that you are seen, you are definitely loved. What you are doing is appreciated and much needed. So thank you, and let's keep up the good work. Secondly, I also want to take this time to personally shout out my guy, Big Tony, and the Dos Migos crew for allowing me to have this space and platform to, you know, talk my shit. Like, that's my thing. You know what I mean? Sports is near and dear to me. Not just the actual thing of sports, but cultivating and affecting young lives. So being able to talk about it and get the feedback from it is priceless. My homie Fox couldn't be here. He is on project and assignment with TSL Sports. So shouts out to both of those guys. I think Tony might be joining us momentarily, but we'll stay tuned to find out. So without further ado, let's get to the show. This past weekend, big mega fight, one of the fights of the century, some would call it, but it definitely was a mega fight. Terence Crawford and Canelo Álvarez. Before we get to them, let me address something. I love the sport of boxing because it gives guys a chance to, like, showcase. The undercards are there for a reason. And a lot of time people will get the pay-per-view and won't watch the undercards. And what they don't know is those hidden gems are dropped in there. Those hidden gems are definitely dropped in there. The Vargas and Walsh fight, Fernando Vargas Jr. is in boxing, and his father, Senior, is his trainer. And I will say this: he only has like 10 fights or something like that. He's very inexperienced in terms of the amount of fights that he's had, but the skill is naturally in him, and I think that was impressive to see him get out there. But this kid Walsh, I mean, hits like a Mack truck. He was tagging him, he was moving. I mean, like, when I say it was impressive to see young fighters that haven't reached their full potential, but you can definitely see the promise and potential on them. So I was impressed to see that, and I'm looking forward to seeing Fernando Vargas, you know, in the future, because, like, low key, like, he was one of my favorite, like, fighters to watch, you know, in some of his bouts back in the day when I was a shorty, before I really had a full understanding of boxing. But that was definitely a name that you knew, and you would see him, you know, perform. So shouts out to him, and that was definitely a good fight. But a fight that I think was definitely good and definitely was undercard worthy was the Christian Mbilli fight and Lester Martinez fight. So dig it. Lester Martinez is the guy that basically was the sparring partner for Bud the entire training camp. And I gotta say, if I'm being totally honest, knowing what I know about Christian Mbilli, who's fighting out of Canada, this dude, like, majority of his wins are by knockout. And all I kept saying to myself was, I don't want to blink too quick because this one could be over. I feel like he was going to knock Martinez out. But I definitely was wrong and pleasantly surprised, because Martinez, I guess, training with Bud and then knowing both they train with their, forgive me, I don't remember Bud Crawford's trainer's name, but he's a really heavy guy. So you have to build up power to even hurt this guy, to make him feel anything. And if that's the type of training camp that they are constantly going through, not just Bud, but also Martinez, he definitely proved why. And this was a title fight, no less. Let me put that out there too. It was a title fight, and it ended in a draw. Two things that I took from that fight. Both these guys are highly skilled, and you're going to hear Martinez's name in a lot of conversations in the near future. And those two guys are definitely going to see each other again, without question. So I definitely appreciate, undercards like that when they put those hidden gems in there. Because, I can be honest to say we've seen both sides of the coin where a mega fight's coming up, it's a fight that you want to see in the undercard. You don't know nobody on it, and the fights are just trash. You may have a couple of rounds that are good and entertaining, but this one was definitely loaded with a lot of talent. So I definitely enjoyed that part of it. So I'll get into the main event in a little while. So here's my weekly Ravens recap. Lord have mercy. Guys, get your headache medicine out now. You're going to relive this. It was definitely a traumatic experience. We got off to a slow start. But the Baltimore Ravens defeated the Cleveland Browns 41-17. Quick stat box score here. Ravens offense, we had 242 yards passing. 242 yards of total offense, 197 passing, 45 rushing yards per play, 4.6. Time of possession, 28 minutes, 11 seconds, and we gave up 2 sacks. We were 3 of 12 on third down. If that is not an ugly stat line, my God. I do have so many questions about that, I feel like we did leave a lot of mistakes out there on the field. My biggest thing is, and I want you guys to put this in the comment section, I really, really want to know, what do you think our woes are as to why we're getting off to these slow starts? We look night and day different from Buffalo to Cleveland. And I want to know why you guys think that is. I'll give you my reason why. First things first, I think I mentioned this on another episode just in general, like coaching. Coaching right now, I don't know what it is right now, but we keep hitting these little stumbling blocks, offensively and defensively. I guess we don't give Todd Monken as much flack because the offense is still able to put up 41 points. So we don't give him nearly as much flack. And I do kind of sort of understand that. But as a diehard Ravens fan, I personally do not give him a pass. That's first. Defensively, when we talk about Zach Orr, the difference is a week from, giving up 41 points versus the following week giving up 17. Yes, you did get better. What a difference a week makes. However, we want to see this with consistency on, next Monday. Well, by the time you see this, it will be Monday. We got the Detroit Lions. We got to go to Detroit and take care of those guys, you know what I'm saying? So I definitely want us to tie it all together. You know what I mean? I think we did a lot of things well in the first 2 games that I would want to see just on one stage and let that be our, specific blueprint as to how we attack each game. Here's a part of the game that really kind of got under my skin a little bit. Mark Andrews catches a pass in the end zone for what I believe was a touchdown. The DB did come and knock it out. They said that he didn't, quote unquote, make a football move. He did catch and secure the ball, and he made 2 steps. That is indeed a football move. I feel like the refs should have raised their hands, but they ruled it an incomplete pass. John Harbaugh, he took out his challenge flag, and then he put it back in his pocket. I've publicly been on record for saying that John Harbaugh calls challenges at the absolute wrong time, the absolute worst times. And we waste and lose timeouts because this guy decides to challenge something that is clearly not challenge worthy. And on the opportunity that you get when something that is challenge worthy, again, because like I said, what my eyes saw was a touchdown, which he should have challenged, and I do believe he would have won. He decided to just let that cup pass from him. Why, John? Why?
Hello, everybody. What's up?
What's good, Tom?
I'm just jumping in. Sorry, I missed a few. You were talking about Harbaugh, about why he makes bad calls as far as bad challenges.
Yeah, he calls challenges at the absolute worst times. I mean, things that aren't even challenge worthy. Historically, he has done that. This was definitely one that I do believe that he should have challenged and he would have won.
staying on Harbaugh, every year there's a question about him as a coach when it comes to the Ravens community. Is that question still available this year? Are you guys questioning him as a coach, or is still questions around him?
Me personally, I mean, I like him as a coach. I think he's a good leader of men. Me personally, I'm speaking for Jack. I do think that his hourglass is running thin. I personally feel like the Ravens could use some new blood. I mean, the fact that he doesn't call any systems on the team, like not an offense, not defense, or anything, I have a serious problem with that. I think we kind of get stale sometimes when you watch us, and he never takes over, play calling duties or anything. He doesn't. He doesn't intervene. Like if things are just being ran into the ground, he sits and watches the train wreck with everyone else. So that's my biggest issue with it. If I'm being honest, that's my only pet peeve with Harbs. Like I said, he's a good leader of men. I think he is one of those players, coaches, where he cares about his players. I don't think anybody questions that. And again, sometimes things aren't necessarily his fault, but when you're the head guy, it does kind of fall on you. It does, yeah.
So you're saying there's time that he needs to pick up the playbook and call the plays himself instead of leaving it to the defensive or offensive coordinator?
Absolutely. Namely, I'll say this, namely offense. At that time where the defense does look bad, but again, defense is 90% desire. That's not to discredit that it's hard work. I'm not saying that either, but defense is 90% desire. You just need 11 willing and try to figure out who fits your scheme, because again, you can play with reckless abandon, on defense. But on offense, the schematics in terms of like what a defense does bad and you're not exposing it. You know what I mean? Like, I do have an issue with the fact that he does not intervene. Now, I will say this. That has not been the case in his last couple of years. Too bad with Todd Monken, still filling them out. Anybody knows me, I'm hard on offensive coordinators, dating back to Greg Roman's time here, you know what I mean? Like, again, you would just let Greg Roman continue just to drive all over the range, and like there's no rhyme or reason to what you're doing. Predictability, like, it's been said on record that defenses will walk into the line of scrimmages calling out our plays what we're going to do next. And, Harbs didn't think there was anything wrong with that. So, again, and again, at the NFL level, these guys get paid the big bucks to, get it right, players and coach. You know what I mean? But to watch somebody repeatedly week in and week out make mistake after mistake, again, I get it that players do have to execute. Players do not get a pass. But there is such things as bad coaching, and we have to realize that. Now, again, it's not always the case. You can have a bad coaching day. I do believe that sometimes. You just have, the other teams play, they show up to play too. But again, my thing is the type of coach that I am, and I get it, everybody doesn't have the same coaching philosophy. But like, yeah, I believe in exploration. Like, this is what you're doing bad. Okay, this ain't working. Let me try. I mean, what do you have to lose? You're already losing.
Right.
You know what I mean? We don't always see that. And I just think, like, historically, Harbs does get that blame, which, I mean, right, and rightfully so, because you are the head coach.
Right.
And, when we talk about the greats like Bill Parcells, Bill Belichick, and stuff like that, there's no way in the world that, man, granted, I don't know how often he went through this, having a Tom Brady at your disposal, but the offense stalls, and he's just going to continue to let Bill O'Brien or Josh McDaniel, whoever their offensive coordinator was at the time, continue just to be bad. No, I'll call this damn game myself. You move, and it's been on record that he has removed coaches for doing a horrible job.
Right. I know you said he didn't have the luxury of players like Tom Brady, but when he started as a Raven, he had a team that is nowhere near the same team. He had leaders of that team with Ed Reed and Ray Lewis, and he had prime Joe Flacco. Do you feel like that affects his team now? That as far as is he a better coach where players like Ray Lewis or Ed Reed assist where he needs to, charge up the team or call out like, hey, you guys need to hit harder. You need to do, like Ed Reed and Ray Lewis used to do.
It's definitely a night and day difference in the team. Like then those years of the Ravens were player led.
Oh, and don't forget T. Suggs.
Absolutely. Those teams were player led. You know what I mean? Like how many coaches have you seen that have been a part of the Ravens organization that say, like, it's hard to, follow that guy? Like, they essentially let Ray be Ray, be the leader that he is. So, I mean, you not saying that they didn't have to do any coaching, but, a fair amount of it was just, again, player-led. Like, when they still to this day, when they do interviews and they talk about their preparation for games and film study, not saying that the current players don't do that, but you don't have the person on the team that's like the heart and soul guy. You don't have that anymore. So as a coach, somebody has to galvanize the locker room and things of that nature and pull everybody together. And again, like Harbaugh is a great leader, man. For what we see publicly when we watch Ravens report and things of that nature, when they show them publicly, maybe because there's cameras present. Not saying that he does or doesn't, but the thing is we don't fully know. And again, all I can judge is what I see from Sunday to Sunday or Thursday to whatever day that the Ravens are on and playing. That's what I see. And I'm only speaking on the flip side of going to bed. Of course, do I want us to go out and win every game? As a fan, yes. As a coach and a player, we know that's not realistic. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But the effort that you give in the loss is what I look at. And as a coach, I don't see where Harbs does that. And again, that's the difference in the team. Like then when he had Ray, Ed, and T. Suggs and all that kind of stuff, he didn't have to. I think now you have to. Not to mention the psyche of players today is way different. So again, like they probably do need the extra, kick in the ass to be like, look, let's whatever you got to say or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like they probably do need that. But
you think DeAndre Hopkins are talking to him like that because he a product of that era?
I think so. I think he's the wily vet, but again, I don't think it's like he's not the rah-rah guy in front of the team. At least we haven't seen that on display. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I think that in terms of wide receivers and, catching the ball, he's sharing his wealth of knowledge with those guys. But as far as, calling the whole team in and giving the Ray Lewis-esque type speech, I don't think he's doing that. You know what I mean? You see, like even looking at Roquan, like Roquan tries to take up that mantle as well. But it's not the same feel. It's like as a fan watching in the audience, watching it from your TV screen, I don't know if people really know how important Ray Lewis was to our organization then to watch on YouTube. If you don't really take my word for it, you're already on YouTube. Look up Ray Lewis, pregame speech, and you tell me if you don't get chills or goosebumps like you want to go and play some football or run through a wall or whatever you do. If you're a house mom, you listen to that. Bet money you're going to want to clean your whole house after you listen to Ray Lewis. Like, it's just like we just don't have that anymore. So, I mean, that's a huge thing that's missing. But to your original question, Harbaugh doesn't strike me as the type that can pull those guys in. He leads in a different way. He takes more of like the dad approach. Like when you say me, big hugs and all that stuff. He embraces the players. And that's not a bad way to lead. That's definitely not. I don't want anybody to think that I'm saying that's not good leadership. But in terms of like the fiery iron fist type coach, he doesn't strike me as that kind of guy. And some people only respond to that if we're being realistic. But Harbs doesn't strike me as that type that he gives that off. Sticking with my Ravens, I just have so many questions in terms of what we're going to look like moving forward. Like I said, the meat and potatoes of our schedule seems to be like the first 6 games, you know what I mean? Like a lot of playoff teams mixed up in there, you know what I mean? But I believe, okay, I'm going to speak from 2 perspectives. First, I'm speaking from a coaching perspective. We absolutely have to get back to pruning things in the offensive line. I think the casual fan is enamored at the fact that the final score was 41-17. They're caught up in that, but we didn't get the bulk of those points until the second half. That is problematic because here's the thing. You can't afford to get behind, let's say, we got Kansas City in a few weeks. And we know that offense can score. Now, here's the funny thing. People will take this comment that I'm saying right now, take what I'm saying, but, Kansas City, Walsh, so they're struggling right now. True, that may be. But people always seem to have their best games against us when we're a shell of ourselves and we're showing it. And I can say that honestly as a Ravens fan. It's like, I don't care if you like it or not, argue with your mama. When the Ravens line up to play, it seems like people always have their best games and do the things that are uncharacteristic for us to give up, we give up against those good teams. So again, anybody who's disagreeing with that statement, like, Kansas City Walsh, we got them in a few weeks. we cannot afford to go into Kansas City and get down, let's say 2 scores, and try to fight back in the second half to get those points. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people like don't realize that. And again, I'm talking about the casual fan. I'm speaking from a coach's perspective. If you've ever played the game, we all know how difficult it is to fight from a deficit in a game, especially against an offense that's actually good. And your defense is actually struggling. So now you have minimal possessions on offense, because now not only are you going 3 and out and giving them the ball back, to add insult to injury, your defense can't stop nobody. So again, we cannot afford to have our backs against the wall in situations like that. Now, let's be clear, Ravens fans or so-called Ravens fans, don't get mad and butthurt about what I'm saying as if we didn't just see this within the first 2 weeks. The offense was cooking with fish grease against Buffalo. We're scoring at will. Defense laid an egg, allowed them to climb back into the game. Made some horrible offensive decisions toward the end of the game. I wouldn't say poor clock management, because the clock only matters when you're losing. And we was up in that game. No reason we should have gave up those points. That was when our defense, the first time.
The defense. Speak about the defense. How do you feel about you guys' secondary and also your linebackers?
Our linebacking core is solid. It's serviceable. Roquan is our all-pro, and he's going to do what all-pros do. Simpson and Buchanan, they aren't as good as Roquan, but they do. I would say this honestly, if I'm being honest, they do fit our scheme. They definitely do fit our scheme. I like what they bring to the table, but they're going to have to definitely catch up, because let's be clear, as the schedule gets on, we're going to see a lot of all-pros where you're going to have to up your play. Point blank, you're going to have to up your play. So our linebackers, I think, are definitely good. Those guys are going to learn as they go, as they get good quality reps from week to week in our schedule. Now, as far as our secondary, I think most definitely I can say the same thing about our secondary. So many people are throwing Jair to the wolves already after one game, and I don't think that's fair, considering he didn't have much of a training camp. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And now, I'm not giving him a pass for bad play, because you are a veteran, so you do know better.
Yeah.
And some of that I also put on Zach Orr, as I stated an episode ago when I was just saying in general that Zach Orr never really checked out his zone. Like, we could have manned up, let these players do what they do. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't adjust well at all. You know what I mean? So it's enough blame to go around. But to just condemn Jair automatically off of one game, and he did look bad. I will admit that he did look bad. Mm-hmm. But again, he's gonna bounce back. Like, that's what your Pro Bowlers do. Jair is, I think he's earned enough respect due to his tenure in the league and what he's done to not throw him to the wolves and be like, oh, here, bum. And now again, that's from the casual fan. I expect that from the casual fan. You're just emotional because our team took a loss. But that doesn't mean that this guy's going to be bad 17 weeks in a row. You know what I mean? Most people don't get that difference. But in terms of secondary and totality, again, Marlowe, they call him All-Pro Marlowe. He gets on my nerves sometimes as well. You know what I mean? Blowing assignments and stuff like that. But again, we have a savvy defense, and I do believe that as the schedule, we get in the thick of the schedule, I do believe our guys are going to step up to the plate and make things happen. They definitely look night and day difference, against Cleveland, just watching, Kyle Hamilton. My goodness, he seemed like he was everywhere at once. You know what I mean? He had some pretty solid tackles where it was like when he tried to do screen plays for him to, come from deep right to the box and just strike. As soon as the ball hits the fingertips of the receiver or the back, he's striking them. You know what I'm saying? It's that's what you want from your all-pro guys. You know what I mean? So again, I just think that we have enough all-pro guys, enough serviceable guys that are, if you don't want to call them first tier, second tier, whatever you view them as, our defense in total, I do believe, is solid enough where we're going to win the meat and potatoes of our schedule. Like I said, yes, we definitely did shit the bed game one. Game two, we bounced back. But I think the standard is going to be what we did in game two and beyond. So I have a lot of faith in our defense, to answer your question in short, but that was just a long version of the answer.
Okay. I just got one more.
Okay.
As far as the Ravens, do you think they spent too much on the offense and they just pretty much got what they could for defense? Or did they spend the money wisely?
They spent the money wisely. I mean, in reality, though, we spent more money on defense. You know what I mean? We just broke off the bag for Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we didn't have to pay DeAndre Hopkins as much money as, say, if we would have got somebody like a Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase. And that's no disrespect to D-Hop, of course. I'm just saying, like, he's a veteran, so it's like he's a little older now. You know, I guess some would say past their prime. I mean, he looks pretty goddamn good to me in terms of performance. So I think we got a steal for D-Hop. That's really the only money that was really shelled out offensively. So I think the money went wisely. I think EDC got it right this time around. Now, I will also say this. I am a little frustrated at the fact when you look at 2 first-round picks Green Bay gave up to get Micah Parsons, right? And here's my thing. Building for the future, we have the future already here in Baltimore. I think that we should have definitely went and threw our name in the hat. For one, we're going to make it much farther than Green Bay Packers. I'm totally confident in that. And that's no disrespect to Green Bay because I think Green Bay is going to do great. Even better now having Micah because, they already had a young pass rusher over there. And like I said, we're one pass rusher away defensively. I think Micah would make a huge splash in this defense. But it's just like, why didn't our front office hunt that deal down? You know what I'm saying? Like, I have so many questions about that. But not only Micah Parsons, before it was Micah, the big story was Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
Now, I do put that on Myles Garrett because Myles Garrett was like, I want to play for a contender. We all know, including you, Myles, the Browns aren't going anywhere other than the basement of the AFC North. They're probably going to give a few teams some fits, but they're not going anywhere but the basement of the AFC North. But, again, why didn't the Ravens push harder to give up something worthwhile? Because, again, I do believe that defensively we are a pass rusher away. Mm-hmm. Again, that's no disrespect to the pass rushers that we do have, but Kyle Van Noy, he's definitely the OG, so to speak. I'm not going to call him an old man. But he's definitely the OG on our D line. You know what I mean? Odafe Owe is not as consistent as we would like him to be in terms of getting to the quarterback or even hurrying the quarterback. Sometimes, sometimes he just simply doesn't get home. But again, this is why when you asked me the question before, when I say when I talk about our defense in totality, I always refer to our defense in totality because we play well together, so we can kind of mask the issues of what one player is not doing. That's why you have 11 guys and not one. So, but yes, the question just asked. I think we spent that money wisely. We did good in free agency in terms of bringing in somebody like D-Hop because he's definitely going to be a good role player for us. To aid our receiving core and, like I said, defensively, just having those pieces in. I think that's my only knock, that we didn't go after Micah or Myles.
That would have been a big difference as far as team.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm talking about Lamar would have the ball a lot more.
For sure.
He'd be super confident in his defense. And, yeah.
Like this creating extra possessions for Lamar to have the ball in his hands, like it's okay. Not even so much a takeaway, not an interception, not a forced fumble recovery, none of that. Just simply being good enough to make teams consistently go 3 and out and punt you the ball back.
Yeah.
Just is like the simplest things. And how do you do that? By hurrying the quarterback, forcing them to make mistakes that they don't want to make. We have a terminology in football that's called a cover sack, where your DBs come up the receiver, the quarterback don't want to chance that. So guess what? Either I'm going to throw the ball away or I'm going to get hit. I mean, like, our defense at one point in time, we know historically what we were. Like, that's always been the Baltimore Ravens' identity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Defense and run the ball. But, I mean, I think now having Lamar, yes, we're still running the ball, but we have a super dynamic offense where it's like at any point in time, the floodgates can be open and we can put up that 40 burger. But my only concern, to be totally clear, because I'm not saying our offense is bad, because I know how people like to switch the narrative and twist what you're saying. We have had a slow start in this last game against Cleveland. Like that should bother you. That should truly bother you. Because there are much better defenses in the league than Cleveland.
Right.
So that should bother you. So, moving forward. So here's the other funny thing. Fantasy football. First of all, do you play fantasy football?
Not this year, but I definitely have played fantasy a few years. I love it. I won it 1 year.
So dig it, right? Here's the other thing that I think, because sports betting is legal now, and it's, in some way, shape, or form, it is definitely linked to the whole fantasy football thing, because if you have paid leagues, I kind of laugh at this, and it's going to tie into the Ravens topic in terms of what I'm about to say, because I have Mark Andrews as my starting tight end. You know, the last 2 weeks I started him, and he had 1 catch in the Buffalo game, and he had 2 catches. No, I'm sorry. He also had 1 catch in the Cleveland game. Now, why am I saying this?
Did you win those fantasy games?
I'm 1-1. Oh, man, I got destroyed the first game. Now, that's only because of my lineup.
Okay.
I had Josh Allen as my starting quarterback, so, of course, we all know how that ended. Josh Allen did beautifully. Yeah. And then, you know, I had
Andrews.
I had Andrews as my starting, and then I also had Justice Hill as my flex. So I was just screwed up all around the board. And I had the Ravens defense. So all those components, like, yeah, I didn't garner many points, and needless to say, in week 1. But week 2, yeah, I was kicking ass, you know what I mean? Of course, I shuffled my lineup a little bit, you know what I'm saying? I had to show my guy, Kyle Pitts, some love for this week going into week 3. So, yeah. But anywho, back to my before stated point. I started Mark Andrews, and I'm wondering, like, I don't want to be the conspiracy theory guy, but I have heard people say this. They feel like the second that you take somebody or bet on them. Now, I'm not in a paid league, but we do know that Mark Andrews is a key contributor to our offense. Yes. So plenty of people have him in different leagues. Yeah. And the question is like, will you take him to go for X amount of yards and things of that nature? Or even in fantasy football, if you just have him on your team and they do bad, most people be like, oh, it's only because they know so many people took him for this game against this defense and blah, 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 blah. Do you think that's a real thing?
Sometimes I don't even know, because you can be so sure, and then that happens, and then you're like, man, there's so many viruses that impacted. Like, I don't know.
So I personally, again, I don't want to be a conspiracy theory guy, but it is awfully funny. Now, again, I'm not in a paid league, so, you know, I don't have no skin in the game. I didn't put no, you know, money up like that. But there's plenty of people who lose money from doing these things, and it's just kind of funny because, I have, you know, my brother sometimes, shouts out to my man Pat, like, he is hilarious, but, like, you know, he puts his little tickets together for, you know, I call it FanDuel, you know, yeah. And be frustrated, you know what I mean? Like, yo, every time I pick this guy, he don't do shit. Like, I see the frustration. But again, he's not the only one. There are a lot of people who pick these. I
totally believe that they do see all that data on those tablets, and it comes from the club room and everything, but it's just hard to say.
So that's the negative part of fantasy football. Let's talk the positives, because I will say it is fun. So, like, I'm in the league with my family, you know what I mean? A few of my cousins. Shout out Don, Davon, Dan, like, you know, my brother, my guy Elijah, you know what I'm saying? Like, we've really shown enough, like, we competing. Matt, we literally had a whole power, like an actual draft, you know what I mean? In the same spot. My cousins, Derek, Jr. and Senior, we got together. We decided to do this. We had a successful draft, and, like, we're really GMs. You know what I mean? Like, we take it serious. So the fun part about it is, you know, the strategy that you have to put together for, you made it, like, I will easily say that I have easily one of the worst teams in the league.
Oh, man.
Because I wasn't sure on ESPN's format. Like, I didn't download the app. I had to re-download the app. So when the draft started, the first 2 picks were automatic picks. And they weren't bad picks. My first pick was Bijan Robinson. Mm-hmm. My second pick was Josh Allen. Okay. So I was extremely, you know, glad about that, because in most leagues, those guys are 100% starters. So
who got Kelsey?
Kelsey definitely got picked up by one of my I don't know if it was Derek Jr. or Senior, but they have Kelsey.
Look, I remember my go-to in fantasy is I'm always going to pick the tight ends first and, like, the best kicker. While everybody going wide receivers or something, like, I'm going to get me a tight end who's always going to get receiver
Yeah.
points, or the kicker who's going to always get those good points, because those ones right there won me a lot of games.
So, you know, it's funny. My cousin Davon had like the cheat sheet. And so because I knew we were doing this, now I have done fantasy football before, but I never took it as serious as now because, like I said, I'm with my family, my cousins, stuff like that. So, like, I've done it with coworkers. And, like, I remember the very first time I did it, I missed the draft and it auto draft my whole team. My team was dog shit. Like, I remember talking about week to week, I'm getting doorknobs beat off of me, man. It was terrible. But
I love when people have bad teams or good teams. My thing is, I always watch the drops and go for the free agents. I'm like, oh, you dropped that person?
Yeah.
I'm picking them up.
So I'm learning that as I go this year. I am. So here's what's funny about that. Looking at the team, when we were talking about like the draft process, and they were saying like you don't have to rush to get quarterbacks. They'll still be there because you want like people will always have the ball in their hand.
Yeah.
But two things for me, I'm just thinking like from a on-field standpoint, I'm thinking like when you have a team like the Ravens, Lamar Jackson can get you points rushing. He rushes for touchdowns. He throws touchdowns. So it's like that's a valuable pick to pick first.
Yeah.
He would be somebody to go off the board first that's not a running back or a receiver,
But
or a
just-
tight end or a flex.
I'm going to tell you, like, the first round, like, everybody will pick, like, say if it's a few of us, we're all picking quarterbacks, receivers. I get me a solid tight end.
Yeah.
And then the second round, I might pick up the quarterback from Jaguars or something, you know?
Yeah.
Because nobody really going to pick him in the first round. They're going to go for all the best quarterbacks or wide receivers or running backs. So that's my strategy. I go for where everybody else don't look for. Like the tight ends, always go for the tight ends or a good kicker. Man.
Yeah, so that was the strategy in our draft. So my son has Lat McConkey. No, I'm sorry. My cousin has Lat McConkey. And then, forgive me, but the tight end from Green Bay, in the first two games, lights out. And I mean, you're racking up points with him. So that is definitely a valuable strategy.
I know. Everybody was looking at his team like, damn, that tight end getting all that points.
Yeah. But meanwhile, I'm struggling and I have Mark Andrews. Like, I'm just so pissed off about that. Like, see how that's crazy. You know what I mean? But now, granted, I did not get Andrews with my first two picks. I want to say he was like my fourth or fifth pick, and I was shocked that he was still there. But I guess
Free agent play.
but it's fine. I'm going to stick with him because I do believe we're going to eventually go to him. But this week, Kyle Pitts is starting. You know, they're going to the Atlanta Falcons got the Carolina Panthers, and I feel like judging by how they played the Vikings, which they did great, and I'm so mad that I didn't start him. You know what I mean? I went, and I will admit that was the homer pick because I'm a Ravens fan. Yes, and I just thought that he was going to do the Browns dirty, and we only went to him one time. You know what I'm saying? So that just kind of blew me. But again, so given that you say you didn't do it this year, so if you play GM right now, if you had it your way, you know what I mean, you could pick whenever you want, name your fantasy team. So give me your starting quarterback, your backup quarterback, running back, receiver, and flex.
Okay, I'm going to go with
In whatever order. Just give me your two quarterbacks first.
starting quarterback, Lamar Jackson,
Who's on your bench?
Love.
Jordan Love?
Yeah.
That's not a bad pick because he does look good. So give me your two running backs.
Saquon, of course, and Henry. I'm going to go Saquon first and then Henry.
Okay. Yeah. Give me three wide receivers.
3 wide receivers, Flowers. Let me see. Hill.
Okay.
Hill is looking bad on that team for some reason. And then who's
Miami is just struggling in general right now.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's because Tyreek is bad, though. Let's be clear about that. I don't think Tyreek is bad. I just think the team is just bad right now. They're playing tonight. They're playing tonight on Thursday Night Football against the Bills. I think they're gonna get their asses whooped, but I think it may be shockingly closer than what we think because division games are always harder. But yeah, give me. You said Hill,
and Lamb.
Zay, and CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm beefing with CeeDee Lamb right now.
Yeah, man. He's a great player, but it's that organization.
I think that CD is solid. I don't see the hype. Me personally, I don't see it. But okay. So who will be your flex? Now your flex is your tweener guy. It can be a running back that catches out the backfield, or you can put some tight ends at a flex.
Yeah.
Your flex is somebody that just has the ball in their hands, just as an extra option to rack up more points. Who will be a flex?
Definitely would be a tight end. A flex. Sometimes I go with another wide receiver because I'm going for the points with fantasy.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with another probably DK. Because all the good players are gone. So
Okay.
you gotta, man.
Whose defense you going with?
Who's defense? Oh man. I would say San Francisco.
San Francisco.
Yeah. With defense, I always just pick the team that I like. Because the defense never really did much for me on fantasy. Like, defense be so, you just want them to get a minimum. I don't know what the point percentage on your league is, but my defense, I just needed to get 10 points.
So here's the funny thing. So when you have a defense that's like real hot like ours, we got sacks, pressures, hurt. Those things didn't. Granted, I don't think they account for all of those things, but like the intersection definitely gets you points.
Get it?
And then Roquan returning it got me even more points. So that that helped a great deal. But when you have a defense that applies pressure that can force like fumbles and stuff like that, anything that you do statistically on defense, they don't count the individual statistic, which is why you pick a whole defense. That helps. So, again, the homer pick, I picked the Ravens defense in game one. It was just like, what are you doing to us? Like, this is crazy. But like I said, my team, so far I have Josh Allen, I have David Montgomery, Bijan Robinson. I have as receivers, it's right here in front of me. It's right here in front of me. Yep. But the Ravens defense, which again, like I said, we are definitely beefing, guys. We're definitely beefing. Well, not after the Browns game. The first game we were definitely in the worst headspace ever because we gave up 41 points and allowed them to get back in the game. So needless to say, my defense did not do much for me. But again, so here's my team. Josh Allen, David Montgomery, Bijan Robinson, Darnell Mooney was also a Falcon. Shakir from the Bills paired with his quarterback. Kyle Pitts as a tight end. Mark Andrews as a tight end. Ravens defense and Nick Folk. On my bench, I have Justin Herbert, Justice Hill, Jerry Jeudy, Brian Robinson Jr. from San Francisco, Rashid from New Orleans, Xavier Worthy, who I'm going to cut because we don't know how long he's going to be out, and Joe Mixon, who I'm also going to drop. I haven't made any alterations to my team as of yet because these guys are out, so I have them on my IR. So, again, like I said, I'm still learning as I go, but definitely by weeks in.
Well, you definitely got to check out the free agencies, see what players are being dropped, and then send out some trades, see who might bite on a trade.
Like I said, I'm still learning, and I'm definitely going to do that because the first week I was angry. Yeah. It's no reason in the world that it should have been as bad as it was.
Yeah, that's another thing I used to do with fantasy. I'm picking hot players just so I can trade out at some point in the season.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's shift gears here for a moment. I definitely know that we go football heavy. I want to get back to this Bud Crawford piece now. I know you watch the fight like much, and I'm going to take these jabs at you right now. You know, because I remember.
I was rooting for the home team.
Yes. And I quote, he said, root for the home team, those Migos. I'm going with Canelo.
I'll go with
Man, we're going to have to cue that clip up.
Yeah.
We're going to have to cue that clip up.
We're clearing that clip right there.
For sure. But in all seriousness, that's no disrespect to Canelo. I do believe, and I said it publicly, that Bud is the better boxer.
Can I say this real quick?
For sure.
I was confused with the first fight because the first fighter name was Crawford. And I'm paying attention and not paying attention. I'm like, it took me a minute to figure out the guy's name was Crawford.
Oh, on the undercard. Okay, yeah.
And I'm like,
so
if it ain't fighting yet, so I'm like, because I'm doing my work, because it's the undercards. I'm one of those people, I didn't think the undercards were going to be as great as it was this boxing match. So I'm on the computer, I'm playing, doing some work, And I'm like, Crawford. I'm keep looking at this. Like, I'm just
Well, can't possibly be fighting already, right?
yeah. So I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one who was thinking that. So maybe it's
You're
people in there.
That's accurate because I've heard people say it. You're accurate. That's accurate.
Yeah, because I was confused. I was like, what's going on?
So
But the undercards were great.
I get, and we alluded to that, in the opener. I was talking about the Christian Mbilli and Lester Martinez fight. Like those guys, that was a title fight, and it ended in the draw. They threw the kitchen sink at each other, and
Yeah, that was a great fight.
I'll be honest and say that Mbilli, I had him picked as the favorite, and I honestly thought that he was going to knock Lester Martinez out. Now, full disclosure, I haven't seen either of these guys fight before. This is my first time again. Like I said, I always watch undercard because they always have hidden gems in there, and this was most certainly a hidden gem. But Mbilli, like when they how they show the hype video before the guys actually fight, and then during the undercard fight, I wasn't as dialed in until it turned into a slugfest in the second round. Yeah. The whole first round, I went on YouTube looking up Mbilli and seeing some of like his fights, like the abbreviated versions, like the highlights. Bro has a deadly right hand. I mean, just he's a pretty decent defender, not as much. I mean, he was taking a lot of shots to the face, but his chin is proven because shots were landing flush. I mean, whoever he was fighting was getting home. They would hit him, but it was like he was running through their punches. So he has a definite strong chin. I wouldn't necessarily qualify that as a good defense, but it definitely proves that he can take a punch. You know what I'm saying? He definitely was able to sustain and run through those punches and deliver punches as well. So Mbilli and Martinez was definitely
Who you talking about? Canelo?
absolutely not. Absolutely not. Now, to the main event, speaking of Canelo, right?
Who was taking and delivering punches?
I'll say this. Being totally fair, Canelo is still an all-time great in my eyes. That doesn't change his status in terms of being good. Again, Bud is most absolutely the best boxer right now.
For sure.
Yeah, it's no question about it. Now,
For sure.
things that stood out. Automatically, you look at Terence Bud Crawford and see that he looked amazing for gaining 20 pounds. Let's put that out there. He looked amazing. Like, you know how sometimes some boxers, and I think we've seen this historically, some boxers kind of jump up in weight classes. And to be fair, he jumped up 2 weight classes to take this on. So to me, that is definitely more impressive. But he jumped up 2 weight classes. You put on the 20 pounds. He looked healthy. He didn't look sluggish, lethargic, any of that. Like, he looked like he'd been carrying and walking around with this weight the entire time. Not just the fact that you were able to put on that weight and be successful in this endeavor, but it's like it didn't change your movement. It didn't change like your reflex. These are things that typically you kind of regress on when you pick up weight. Just in general, not even so much as a boxer. But again, you rely solely on your reflex in terms of hitting and not being hit to fire. And when they return fire, you're no longer there. He looked amazing doing that. The other thing that stood out, Canelo being the natural weight, that's his natural weight, and having that power quite naturally, I saw Terence Bud Crawford absorb some of those punches in the clinch when they were close range. He's standing in front of him. He's taking the body blows. And Canelo did get home sometimes, landing flush shots to the face. And Bud absorbed him. Bud absorbed him. He ate him.
Yeah, he did.
So, for a fighter that's not used to that, I mean, again, that was just an amazing feat. Like I said, his reflexes were definitely there.
Yeah, he was definitely the faster fighter.
And in the 6th round, you know what I mean? When Canelo tried to, throw the heat check, he just wanted to see what he would do. He threw the punch there, and Bud immediately just recognized it, sidestepped it, and immediately returned fire. Boom, and he catches, the infamous, it's a meme now. Canelo turned his face like to the side. I mean, it was just seeing Bud being able to pull that off against a fighter like Canelo, who is known for his defense, but he was able to get home and tag him repeatedly. You know what I mean? Again, that is not to diminish the skill of Canelo. It's just recognizing Bud and what he was able to do. Having said all of that, I definitely have now changed where I rank him amongst the all-time greats, because that was definitely impressive. Now, I'll take it a step further, and I know I'm going to get some flack for this. I really don't care. When we talk about our, all-time greats when we mention our Mount Rushmores and our top fives and all that kind of stuff. Floyd is highly regarded being 50-0. And I do not take away from the fact that Floyd Mayweather Jr. is, bar none, the best defensive fighter of all times. I will give him that. I said this on my IG page the day after, and I really had to consider this. He refers to himself as the best ever. I've never believed that notion.
Nah.
I've never believed that notion. I'm saying that publicly. I never have. That's not to say that he's not one of the all-time greats. But I also say that we can now put Bud Crawford in that conversation. And I would say, judging by this performance and what he's done throughout his career, because there's still more to go.
Yes, it is.
That I now X him over Floyd.
Do you think he has? You said it's still more to go, but does he have anything else to prove, or because he's already on the Mount Rushmore? So
I can agree with that. I don't think he has anything to prove, but I don't think he's ready to walk away because now I would say this: people were talking about him stepping up to fight people like Benavidez. I said that even to step up to fight Benavidez. Like, I think Bud has a skill, maybe not so much like the height and the weight, but I mean he just went up 20 pounds to take on Canelo, and Canelo, people for a while said they wanted to see him fight Benavidez because he actually has the weight to do it. But again, I don't think this would make or break Bud if he didn't fight someone like Benavidez. I'm just throwing out a name that we know because Benavidez is doing, he whooping ass and taking names right now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We haven't heard much from him as of late, but I know he's one of the boxers out there that is, he's pretty scary and imposing in the ring because of his, not just his natural size and physique, but his skill level. He legit is a legit great boxer. He's a great boxer right now. But not to get off topic, I'm saying that to answer your question, I don't think Bud has anything left to prove. I think he's done everything. And even now, being more impressive, like, how many fights have you seen that Bud was in when he was the underdog? You see what I'm saying? Like, that's a lot of fights that he's been the underdog where everybody just always counts the guy out. And he turns out and then puts on a freaking masterclass, man. Like, you got to get that dude his credit. And I say when you rank him amongst all-time greats, like I say, when we talk about, like, the N-O part, again, I think people get caught up into that too much. Because there are all-time greats that do have losses.
yeah,
And so when you talk about,
Floyd really messed up the boxing game with that 50-0 and that old, undefeated record. Like, it was never really a thing before.
here's the thing. I don't think that he messed it up with that. I don't. So I'll say this. When you talk about all-time greats, you have a fighter, Walker Smith Jr., better known to the world as Sugar Ray Robinson.
Yeah.
A absolute legend. Even if you never saw him fight, like the story of him when boxing historians talk about this man. 175 wins, 19 losses, 6 draws, 2 no contests. 109 of them were knockouts.
That's crazy.
This is a total different era of boxing. That's first and foremost. Fighters were a hell of a lot tougher than I'm sure. And so when you talk about all-time greats, 175 fights? Now, here's the funny thing. Historically, if anybody, follows boxing, there's a boxing historian. If you ever get a chance to Google him or watch him on YouTube, his name is Burt Sugar, and I just love to hear this guy talk about the history of boxing and everything like that. You know what I mean? I'm not sure if Burt Sugar's still alive or not, but any content with Burt Sugar on it, and when he get to talking about the sweet science, that dude will educate you. And I love to hear him specifically talk about Sugar Ray Robinson. Because again, these things weren't recorded then. We didn't have media then.
Right.
People had the radio and they had the papers. And then, there actually may be some black and white out there of Sugar Ray Robinson in the ring. There may actually be. But my thing is this, when people talk about his skill, when those historians, specifically Burt Sugar, because he's the person that, like, is world renowned for this. But it's like, there's plenty of, OGs in the game that were of that time and can remember watching this guy when we talk about this legend. 175 fights won, and you still say that's an unofficial number, so he probably won even more fights. It's crazy to me. You know what I'm saying? But again, when we talk about the fact that the other side of it, he has 19 losses.
Yeah.
So somebody with that record, would you not qualify him as the best? So when you have people like Floyd Mayweather just looking, 50-0 and blah, blah, blah. Y'all know how Floyd get down when he be talking his shit or whatever the case is. I'm not going to say that the dude isn't a good fighter, but I mean, after he left the pretty boy Floyd era and became Money Mayweather when he started getting them checks and headlining the pay-per-views, you had a boring brand of boxing.
Yeah, we were just watching to get you knocked to see if you got knocked out.
Yeah, and I mean, again, you stand in the Philly shell, you know what I mean, hitting like you hit. I mean, again, those things as a dope. Now, I'll say this. I remember I think it was 2009 when he fought Ricky Hatton. It took you 8. Now, another reason why Floyd has an asterisk by his name when it comes down to me, purely off of the Manny Pacquiao ordeal alone. So if anybody remembers that, in 2009 when Floyd said he was retiring the first time, and he beat Ricky Hatton. He went to England or wherever Ricky Hatton was from. And rest in peace to Ricky Hatton. He just recently passed too, man. That's a sad, unfortunate story. They said they found the same day as the Canelo fight. They found him or whatever the case is. That's a sad state of events. But and God knows I'm not speaking ill of the dead. But Floyd put something on that guy. You know what I mean? But it took him 8 rounds to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He knocked Ricky Hatton out. And the super fight of that time that everybody wanted to see at that time when it was relevant was him and Pacquiao. And this is just before the current Dallas Cowboys Stadium was being built from the ground. They said they wanted that to be the first event held outside of a Cowboys game. Obviously, they wanted that to be the first event held in that building. Needless to say that it never happened, but I personally believe, and I don't care what anyone says, I personally believe that he did duck Manny Pacquiao. Yeah. Like, if I'm a better fighter, it's not going to take me 4 or 5 years to fight you. I do believe that if I'm the TBE, what you were calling yourself, and I think this is the thing that did it. If anybody can recall, however long in time from when Floyd fought Hatton and knocked him out in 8 rounds or 9 rounds or however long it took, Manny lines up to fight Ricky Hatton and put him out in the first round or the second round, and it wasn't even close. I think, in my honest opinion, I believe that was like the eye opener. Like, there's no way that it took me this long to put this guy down. Because again, Floyd clearly was the better boxer. Like, Ricky Hatton didn't have a chance. We all know that. And I also believe that the fight should have been over early between Floyd and Ricky, but it still took 8 or 9 rounds. For Manny to get in there and just make light work of this dude, I'm talking about, boom, put him down, he counting the ceiling lights. You know what I'm saying? So I think that kind of made Floyd redirect. And then now, mysteriously, this rumor comes out, pretty standard boxer. Now it was Manny Pacquiao was on steroids. That was a rumor that came out. It was another rumor about something in regards to he just recently failed a drug test. It was a bunch of rumors surrounding that, specifically that Mayweather's camp basically doctored up to give it a reason, like, oh, if you want to fight me, then take a drug. Like, basically insulting the man's integrity as a boxer and all that kind of stuff. And it was just a whole bunch of surface nonsense. Mm-hmm. And again, I give Floyd an asterisk for that. Because again, boxers of yesteryear, Ali didn't care who was next. You say he the best, he gonna line it up, win, lose, or draw. So again, yes, it's great if you can go undefeated if you fought everybody that was next in line that was due the title shot, that earned that title shot. Mm-hmm. Or earned the shot, period, to fight you because they started to work their way up in the ranking. And I can say, like, a lot of guys now in boxing as it stands now in this current state, there's a lot of cherry picking going on. I'll fight him. Like, all the guys that's undefeated, if y'all the best, fight each other.
Yeah.
Everybody running from each other.
Just fight each other.
Yeah. So, again, like, all the banter, like, I mean, for instance, you look at, Tank, Shakur, Haney, all them guys, they undefeated. Hey, somebody line up and go beat this fool.
Right, somebody.
Yeah. But, again, I didn't want to veer off, but I just wanted to definitely speak on that particular point. But, again, I think what Bud has done, he has definitely earned his name amongst those greats. And for me, I put him a step above Floyd because it's more impressive because, yes, Floyd has held multiple titles across multiple weight classes. Floyd ain't never jumped up 2 weight classes to go and get one of them guys. He ain't never did that. And I'm just saying, I'm not saying that is the end-all, be-all, but I think that Bud's feat is more impressive than going in here and doing this the whole fight, rather punch. To me, that's just more impressive because Bud he just puts his full gamut of skills on display.
Yeah, he did.
The fact that he can, he can fight, both hands. He can fight orthodox, he can fight southpaw. He put everything on display. So I think that's more impressive. But
I think to go with what was said last week, Bud Crawford definitely was the better boxer because I was rooting for Canelo and I asked who's going to get outboxed. Canelo got outboxed. Bud Crawford had the superior boxing IQ. He just knew his way around the ring. He knew every shot he was going to take. His defense was superb. Man, it was just a great fight. It wasn't a fight where you could say, oh, somebody was running the entire time or punches weren't thrown. It was entertaining, a very entertaining fight compared to some of the fights of the past to go on Tank. That Roach fight was the most exciting fight I've seen in Tank in a while. This Crawford fight, it matches that.
I can see that. Personally, you brought up Tank. I think, to me, his most entertaining fight, because I think it's the one where he was the most challenged, was him and Isaac Cruz. I think Cruz took him to the deep water. And I'll say this. If Tank didn't, wisen up and start, getting off the ropes to catch him and get out the way, I'll say this as a fan of Tank, hometown guy, I think that Tank would have lost that fight. I'll be honest and say that. I will give Isaac Cruz his credit, but that's not the subject matter here. So, hey, let's have a little fun with this, Tom.
Yeah.
So we were just talking about fantasy football and why we're on the subject of boxing, right?
Yeah.
First of all, who would you say Tony's personal Mount Rushmore of boxers? Give me 4 boxers you think your top 4 of all time.
Sugar Ray Leonard, Mike Tyson, of course, George Foreman, and Joe Frazier.
I like that. That's not a bad Mount Rushmore at all.
Yeah.
Not a bad Mount Rushmore at all.
But okay, let me give you some new school. New school, Wilder.
Okay.
Now Crawford, because he just took Canelo off the list. Can't say Floyd because I don't think he's not qualified. He was part of the old school. Tank and Charlo. I do like the Charlo. I like both Charlo brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? I ain't mad at that either. They can really, really fight. But again, I want to see those guys. That's what I mean. Like, when you look at, I don't think Bud did fight one of the Charlos and beat him. Obviously, because he's undefeated. But it's like that caliber of talent. It's like, why aren't these guys like climbing the ladder? It's like, who is in those divisions, for them to fight? I remember like one of the Charlos was supposed to fight Caleb Plant.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like, it just makes you wonder. But getting back to the point, I don't want to like get off of that. But that's a great Mount Rushmore, old school. And you were just saying like, some of the new school boxers that you like. I would say this.
Yeah, what's your old school list?
Easy. So I'm wearing a shirt right now. Muhammad Ali goes at the very top of my list, man. And be clear, Ali only had 56 fights. He won 56 fights with 5 losses, 37 knockouts, 3-time heavyweight champ. Fought the likes of Frazier, Norton, Spinks, Sonny Liston, beat him twice. Ron Lyles, George Foreman, Ernie Shaver. Like, he fought some killers. Yeah. I think the thing that's impressive to me about Ali, and I heard this is a direct Mike Tyson quote, he said, man, he's like a Tyrannosaurus with a pretty face. He was, and speaking on his boxing powers, is like how ferocious he was as a boxer, and he would get in the fights. And to quote Richard Pryor, the comedian, he said, "Man, Muhammad Ali's hands was so fast." He said, "You don't see his hands until he joined it back to his body." You know what I'm saying? But so many people speak on Muhammad Ali's, how fast he was, how he just, how fast and graceful he was in the ring. And for me, just like the things that I know about him historically, being a people's champion, he didn't have as many fights as a Sugar Ray Robinson. But again, the fact that the people could reach out and touch him, he could walk through Harlem, New York, and the crowds of people could come and sit and talk with the champ. He could go through the streets of Los Angeles or wherever he would go and just comfortably and unapologetically be him. Those things are more impressive to me. I heard Mike Tyson say this about Floyd Mayweather when he started calling himself the best ever, and it was saying when he started making those claims that he's better than Muhammad Ali, and bringing up the fact that he lost 5 fights. Like, he lost to a dude that only had 7 fights, and whatever he was saying. And Mike Tyson said he's a delusional little man. He was saying the more impressive thing is the fact that Muhammad Ali could drop off and pick up his kids from school. He was a man of the people. But again, and we're speaking about his prowess in the ring. Like, he got in there with guys that we just knew, at least the public believed was going to destroy him. In 64, nobody thought Liston was going to lose to Ali, lose the title to Ali. And he was, proclaiming to be the greatest long before he ever stepped in the ring. And he made a career doing this, you know what I mean? So, I mean, stuff like that is impressive to me. And if I'm being totally honest, that's one of my favorite people of all time, just as while I wasn't even thought of, when he was fighting, just to know the man's history and as loving the sport, you study these things and you kind of gain an understanding on why a lot of people pattern their styles after this man, not just like the bravado and, the swagger and all that kind of stuff. Literally as a boxer, you know what I mean? Like, Muhammad Ali fought faster backwards than some people do forward, like he was just, that's a skill within itself. So yes, Muhammad Ali is first on my Mount Rushmore. Number 2, Sugar Ray Robinson, because you just can't argue with the record. Point blank, you just cannot argue with the record. A lot of people talk about like Rocky Marciano and stuff like that, it's like, you just can't argue with that. And men were definitely much tougher back in those eras, so it's just impressive to me. Sugar Ray Leonard is third, and my fourth, and I always battle with this. My fourth, I always battle between George Foreman and Evander Holyfield.
That's good. That's a good battle.
Now, people always ask, why doesn't Mike Tyson make my Mount Rushmore? He's definitely in the top, but you can only pick 4. And I look at some of those things, and I don't know if it's any fault of Mike's, like, why you didn't fight Lennox Lewis and Evander Holyfield like earlier in y'all's career. A lot of people say that they ducked him or whatever. We don't know all the specifics because we wasn't there. I don't know. But I do look at, like, some things with Mike was self-inflicted. So, like, again, God bless the dead. When Customato died, and, everybody knows the story, he went to jail, and he with the Muslims, he changed his corner people. He had the wrong people around him, so he wasn't as focused and dialed in as a fighter. We fought him because we knew that's still Mike. That's still Iron Mike. And you wanted to see him get in the ring and destroy somebody. But again, it was just like that level of focus wasn't there. Mike became a totally different guy. He was still a bad mother, shut your mouth. But it's like it wasn't the same dialed in guy that we seen get in the ring where it was like, we knew this fight was going to be earlier. So you ain't no bad from Brink, ain't no going to get no popcorn because he going to put this dude down in 3. He going to put him down in whatever, you know what I'm saying? So that's the only reason Mike don't crack my Mount Rushmore, because again, I feel like post-Customato, that was self-inflicted. You know what I mean? Getting in bed with Don King and all them guys, like that bad business decisions. It's just a lot of moving parts with that. And I do that affects you in the ring. So that's the only reason Mike don't crack the Mount Rushmore. But again, I always say who always fights for that full spot has always been Evander Holyfield, who, yes, fought Mike Tyson twice and beat him twice. And George Foreman, because for longevity. George Foreman fought Ali in the 70s, stayed in boxing, left boxing, returned in the 90s. I think it was 93 or 94 when he regained the heavyweight championship from Michael Moore at 45 years old, or maybe older. I just know he was in his 40s, and he beat the younger guy. And it wasn't he didn't look like an old man at all. No. So again, I would just say for the sake of,
and that was a heavyweight fight.
Oh, for sure.
Not like a heavyweight fight is different than Floyd coming back and fighting somebody else. These Holyfield, not Holyfield. Foreman could have died.
Yeah, but again, that to me is a more impressive feat. So I'll say for the sake of my honorable mention would be Evander Holyfield. And I give the 4th spot to Foreman. Just for things like that. And again, that's absolutely no shot at Holyfield because Foreman and Holyfield fought too. And it was like, there's no way in the world these guys are from 2 different eras.
Right.
You know what I mean? It just didn't look like it. Like, I think Evander Holyfield was your quintessential Iron Man of boxing at that time. You know what I mean? He retired in 2011. Again, he was still like, so think about it. He was 48 when he retired. So think about it. At 48, the fact that you can still garner opponents to come in here and fight you as a legend, and it ain't like you was just going in there and getting your ass whooped. You was going in there and competing in these fights in 2011 at 48 years old. So again, I think that's my Mount Rushmore. So getting to
What about the new school?
new school, I'm gonna go with Tank first. Tank is legit. Like, it's not just a thing that they say he is like the baby Mike Tyson. I think his head ain't always on straight, but he definitely has a skill set to get better. I don't know what's going on, why he's not dialed in. He has a lot of distractions sometimes, but I mean, he's still undefeated. But we don't want him just skating by fights. I want to see him put all his skills on. Again, put the full gamut of skills on display. Like when we talk about Bud and how Bud does it, I want to see Tank in that same light.
With Tank, I want to see him back with his original corner and an original person who's going to give him the orders in that corner.
Yeah, I mean, well, Calvin ain't going over. Calvin's still in his corner. It's just he just wanted a different. That's another whole topic altogether. But I agree with you on that. That was foolish for him to go with somebody else. I mean, like, I just think that was crazy. But yes, Tank is definitely one of my favorite new school fighters to watch. I mean, he is definitely a guy that has a skill set and knockout power that is breathtaking. It's like Upward when he be knocking fools out. So I'm gonna say Tank. Yes, Shakur Stevenson definitely is talented. I don't think he is Tank level, but he is easily one of my new school fighters to watch. I like seeing him get in the ring and how he operates. Man, Teofimo Lopez. I don't know how old Teofimo Lopez is, but bro, that dude. Now, I do want to see Tank fight him. I think that would be a great matchup and challenge for him. I don't know what it is about Lopez. Like, I've seen him fight quite a few fights, and I don't think he's ever had a bad fight. I can honestly say I've never seen Teofimo Lopez have a bad fight. That's somebody that I want to see Tank, I would like to see him get in the ring. If I'm being honest, more so than I want to see him fight Shakur or Devin or any of them guys. Like, Devin Haney, to me, after you got punished by Ryan Garcia, I ain't really got no words for you, bro.
Yeah.
None.
Teofimo is 28 years old.
So he's still young.
Yeah, with 22 wins and 1 loss.
Yeah, I've never seen him have a bad fight. I can eat. Now, I also say this. Another thing that I like about him as a new school fighter is like you can just tell in his style, he studies the greats. It seems like each fight he throws a new wrinkle in there. Like you can see like the alterations he makes within his fighting style. I think that is impressive. I've noticed that. And again, if you watch boxing, I mean, I want to put that in the comments. Do you notice that about that? If you know anything about Teofimo Lopez, do you notice that? So, but yes. So, Tank, Teofimo, Shakur are probably, I would say, like my top 3 new school guys that I just say if they fighting, I'm tuning in. I'm definitely tuning in. Now, let's have some fun with this.
Okay.
We talked about old school and new school, and we mentioned fantasy football. So, dream fight, all time, 2 boxes, any era, doesn't matter. Who fighters that you want to see fight? Obviously, got to be in similar weight classes, obviously, but who would you say you would want to see line it up and trade leather?
I don't know if they were ever in the same weight class. Sugar Ray Leonard and Floyd Mayweather.
I have that here in my notes. That's the first on my joint. Now, historically, Sugar Ray has beat the dad and the uncle Mayweather. He beat Roger Mayweather, the Black Mamba, and he tore Floyd Mayweather Sr. a new ass. I would say this. Fighters were a lot tougher in yesteryear. So when Floyd Mayweather is asked about these things, of course he's gonna give you all the slick talk and all that why he's better and all that kind of stuff. Again, I'm speaking for Jack, and I know I'm not alone with this sentiment. Sugar Ray is the boxer that will be tailor-made to beat. Let's be clear. In Floyd's career, when you line up and you look at like him versus Zab Judah, Floyd could have easily lost that fight if it wasn't for that goofy melee, you know what I mean? And then Zab lost his composure and everything like that. But I feel like all that was an intentional distraction caused to get Zab off his game. Because Zab was giving Floyd work in that fight. If anybody go back and look at that. You're already on YouTube. Go back and look at that if you watch this episode. So, I mean, again, I don't want people to think that this is a smear campaign on Floyd Mayweather Jr. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is a lot of people just get enamored by the 50-year-old and the bravado, but there are other boxers historically that were as good as Floyd, and some of them even better, i.e. Sugar Ray Leonard.
Right. Oh, well, if I were to remove Floyd out of that, a good dog fight would be Leonard and my man, the Philly boxer.
Ennis? Boots Ennis?
Not the one who just fought Tyson.
He just fought
Junior. He just fought Mike Tyson. Roy Jones Jr. There we go.
Oh, okay.
Roy Jones Jr. Sugar Ray Leonard. That would be a slugfest.
You know what? Roy is an all-time great too.
Yeah.
Roy is definitely an all-time great too. I think he stayed too long.
He definitely stayed
too long, but he's definitely an all-time great. And I'm mad at myself that I didn't even mention his name amongst these guys. You know what I'm saying? Because Roy was definitely that. But Roy Jones Jr., I would love to see like him versus Marvin Hagler.
Oh,
Like somebody like that, like Marvin Hagler had bricks in his gloves. You know what I'm saying? Like that dude. Pernell Sweet Pea Whitaker, man. Like that's another one. Like I would look like Roy and Sweet Pea. I think would have been a good dream fight. Ali Tyson, for obvious reasons, two of the greatest heavyweights of all time, and as we know, Mike Tyson has openly and publicly, talked about his admiration for Muhammad Ali, and there's a clip of Mike Tyson and Sugar Ray Leonard. They surprised Muhammad Ali on the Arsenio Hall show.
Yeah,
and Mike Tyson says, and I quote, he said, I know that I'm great. And he said, in no way I'm not being vain. He said, but when it comes down to this man, pointing to Ali, saying that when it comes down to this man, every tongue must confess that this guy is the greatest of all time. And he said that he's seen Ali in the ring with killers, and he just believed that he'd think that Ali would beat him.
Of course.
And here's my thing. Giving somebody that level of respect, being the fighter that Mike Tyson was at that time, as they say, styles make fights, and we all know who can beat us. If you look at Mike Tyson's career, he has struggled with fighters that have longer reach, that are much taller. So the Evander Holyfields of the world, the Lennox Lewises of the world, he struggled. Buster Douglases of the world, you know what I'm saying? So I think that he knew that what his disadvantage was against a certain style of fighter, which again, Muhammad Ali towers over Mike Tyson and has the longer reach and so forth and so forth. So, I mean, just giving that man that respect, I think the fight would be a hell of a lot closer than what Mike was saying. I think he was just definitely giving Muhammad Ali his flowers. Yeah. But that's an all-time dream matchup that I think, I
think he would have beat Mike really bad.
I don't think he would beat Mike real bad. Because again, historically, when you look at Muhammad Ali's career, he fought shorter fighters that can get inside his body, like Joe Frazier. You had a trilogy with Frazier, and Frazier, man, he oh my God, he broke things in Ali that was never fixed.
That's what I'm saying. Like I think Frazier might have been the strongest puncher. I don't know.
No, I think it's Foreman by long shot.
For Foreman, yeah. I was gonna say Foreman, Frazier, then Foreman, but Foreman might be on top. But those guys, they break faces.
Listen, this is a quote from Shannon the Cannon Briggs. Let's go, champ. Yeah. He says, somebody asked him, what's the hardest he's ever been fought? Like, who was the boxer that he went against the hardest? He said, without question, George Foreman. Bro, I immediately stopped because, again, I went back in my mind and thinking, like, first of all, I don't even remember them two fighting. But that goes back to what I was saying about Foreman stepping in the ring with Holyfield. And that definitely was around that era. So again, to speak to Foreman's greatness, Like, you know, you fighting these younger fighters. He said, Foreman hit me. He said, I'm telling you, man. He said, you know, I thought he broke something. Like, I mean, to your point, you said he break face, but he said he hit me. He said, I thought my shit was broke. Like, I mean, it's just to carry that kind of power. And like Foreman's philosophy is, you know, he's not one of those like super technically sound boxers. He's like, I'm gonna hit you anyway. Your body gonna start to break down because it's all gonna hurt.
Yeah.
That is impressive because you know the type of power that you garner.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna hit you and I'm gonna break you down and then eventually I'm gonna put you to sleep. So yeah, man.
And Ali fought a young Foreman.
Yes, and he took a beating, boy, but he baited him in that old roper dope, man.
Yeah.
But yeah. So Ali Tyson is one, and I would say last but certainly not least, I would want to see Manny Pacquiao.
I know that.
Yeah, I want to see Manny Pacquiao get in the ring with any of the four kings. That's Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran, Tommy Hearns, Marvin Hagler. Any of them guys, I would want to see because Manny possesses that toughness, that old school toughness, and he hits hard. He's like, and all of those guys had that. And styles make fights. I think he would be a good matchup for any of those guys. So I would say those are my top.
I would have wanted to see him against Roberto Duran. That would have been a dog.
Yeah, hands of stone. Yeah. So, but yes, all in all, man, the sweet science is one of those things that I don't think gets the coverage that it deserves, which is why I wanted to tackle it here. Not just because of the event that took place. I just feel like now we're in an era where everything is different, you know, with promotion and streaming and the way it is presented now. Boxing isn't always like the sexy pick. More people are into, like, it's still a combat sport that you're going to line up to watch, but more people are into cage fighting, MMA, and so forth and so forth. Mm-hmm. So, you know, let's get back to the days of old when boxing was a big spectacle where we, you know, paid for the pay-per-view and the family came over and ate like it was Thanksgiving dinner and all that. Let's get back to that, you know what I mean? Like, all you guys that's undefeated, you know what I mean? Like, wow, if you're the best fighter, why aren't the best fighting the best? We need to get back to when boxing was that. They're making up all these goddamn titles just to give somebody a title. Say, he's the champion of this. You're the champion of nothing. If you haven't fought, again, I only respect the WBA, WBO, IBF. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, those major titles that have been around since we were children.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, guys is walking around, yeah, the title of this, I just like when you hear Michael Buffer going down and announcing these accolades, I'm like, girl, I ain't never heard of that belt before. Like, that's some new shit, but yeah. So yes, definitely want to give and touch on that a little bit. So we're gonna get into this rant. This is the Coach Jack rant right here, and I need to get this off my chest. Going back to my Ravens, this is the 30th season that we have been in existence. And to commemorate the 30th anniversary, and I know you're probably going to poke a little fun at me and my team coming up with this, Tony. Our first game back in 1996 was played in Memorial Stadium. And the logo that they painted in the end zone, they redid it in the current stadium, M&T Bank, in the end zone. Here's my beef. We are one of the only teams in the entire league that does not have a throwback uniform. What we looked like when we came in 1996, we don't have a throwback uniform. You wanted to commemorate that by putting the end zone and making it look like, but we don't have the throwback uniform. This is my rant, and I'm talking purely as a Ravens fan. I am highly upset. I did some digging, right?
Yeah.
The gentleman who created the original Baltimore Ravens logo, which was the shield with the same B that we have.
Yeah.
The shield with the same B, and it had the Raven wings on the side.
Beautiful logo.
I respect that logo. I loved that logo.
That logo was
beautiful.
Everything.
So because of whatever copyrights or whatever the case was, all this man wanted was season tickets. Are you kidding me? No disrespect to the dead, Art Modell. You shit the bed on this one, buddy.
Yeah.
Bashadi, you shit the bed on this one, buddy. All this guy wanted was season tickets for you to have the right to use the logo. I don't think that's a hard ask.
Definitely not a hard ask. That logo was amazing.
And it's crazy because now the bird that we've, synonymously come to know and love, the side version of the Edgar Allan or Poe, whichever one you like. The side view of that, yes, that's the image that we see week to week on all of our apparel and so forth and so forth. While that's not a bad looking logo, when you look at, let's just say like the Tennessee Titans, for example, you know, they have a throwback. They can go back to say when we were the Tennessee Oilers and they can pull out those baby blues.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at the Los Angeles Chargers, you know, they can go back to their San Diego Chargers look with the old school air raid uniforms when they had Dan Fouts. They have a throwback. You know, when you look at the New York Football Giants, they have a throwback. Like, their history is on display. Even now to look at Philadelphia Eagles. I don't know if y'all remember some years back, this is back when Westbrook was still playing for that team. And they had these ugly baby blue and yellow jerseys from the 50s or something like that. But they tap into their history is basically the point that I'm making. Baltimore Ravens, we got to do better. We need to figure out how to get our actual history on display. We have to do that. That's the biggest part of my rant as a fan is like when we talk about the Ravens historically, you know what I mean? We went through some great offenses in the beginning. I can remember before our defense became what it was. When we were offense, we could score 30 points a game and lose by 1. When we had Testaverde, Michael Jackson, and those guys. You know what I'm saying? I can remember back to those times as a shorty watching that on TV. And my dad and my uncles were super excited because we finally had football back in Baltimore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Remembering those giant shoulder pads Ray Lewis had on. He looked like a freaking alien, man. Like, you know what I mean? The giant. Now, our first jerseys were, I don't know if people remember this, our first jerseys, I remember this from watching as a kid historically, it was made by Logo. The old school from the 80s and 90s, it was made by Logo. Our first jerseys. Then we went from Logo to Puma, and that's when the whole NFL went to Reebok. Mm-hmm. But those very first Ravens jerseys was made by a company called Logo. And they had the giant bird, and under the feet, this was the word, there's the Raven bird with the spread eagle wings like that, and the claws was holding the word Ravens. That was on the side of the shoulder pads, just above the number. The helmets bared the shield with the B with the wings on the side. We wore black pants with the bold white stripe down the side.
Yeah.
Bring that back. Bring that back.
Man, they got the money. Pay the people. Who
Yeah, man, dude.
Pay them so we can get that. So they'll make way more money paying whatever they have to get the approval to use that because everybody's buying that out.
Man, could you imagine if Nike got a hold to that? You know what I'm saying? To go ahead and make that, because that's who has the NFL contract for uniforms right now. Could you imagine Nike making, stitching that up, man? That would sell out.
Sell out.
Picture a Lamar Jackson jersey with the throwback logos on it.
And the wings.
Moneymaker, man. Moneymaker. But, hey, what do I know? I've only been a Ravens fan since I was a kid. I've only been a Ravens fan that long, since your existence.
And the Gaines got a big family. Every one of them will wear one of those.
Damn Skippy, we will. You damn Skippy. Coach Jack and the whole family in the stands. Lamar Jackson jerseys and Roquan Smith jerseys, Zay Flowers jerseys, fabric. Hey, Mark Andrews, show my man some love, throw him the ball. Mark Andrews jerseys, Isaiah Likely when it gets better. Yeah, the whole shebang. We got them all. We got them all. So, hey, yes, Lord moment, and then we're going to get into the local hype because there's a lot of people, man. Well, the hour's definitely been far spent, but I definitely will be remiss if I did not mention these things, man. So I'm leaving my yes, Lord moment. Tomorrow, we are heading up to Hereford, so I want to give a quick shout out to my Kenware Bluebirds. It seems like they've been making my yes, Lord moment every week, but I wanted to touch on this more specifically. The other day, I suited up at practice with my guys, and this is very important to me. I don't like coaches who resist the urge to coach. But I learned something new in terms of what level I'm at coaching as to how my players react to me. They trust me implicitly. There was a moment in practice where we had like a little breakdown where one of my players was getting frustrated, taking the rep live against me. Now, I'm a full-grown man. I'm not out there to intimidate them or make them feel less than. Simply trying to teach a lesson in preparation for a game that is very, very important on our schedule. Granted, they all are important, but it was something specific that I was trying to bring out of this young man. And in the moment of failure, when he got frustrated for losing the rep, you lost the rep to Coach Jack. But what followed that was the thing of, Coach, am I doing it right? He finally understood what I was trying to get him to see, to get out of his head. He trusted me, said, if you're telling me to do this, I'll do this. But make it make sense to me. We had a small 5-minute conversation, went and did some one-on-ones. That was a real heartfelt moment because it was like, that's the first time I ever seen this particular player. And I'll go ahead and say his name. It's McCallum. That's my center. Like, he's one of those kids, he'll work hard, he'll push, he'll run through a wall for me because he knows I'll run through a wall for him. Quite literally, I had to run through a wall because him and Devin clearly had something against me on that day. But my point is this. The fact that we were able to have that dialogue with me and Paz, yes, Coach Jack was willing to make a fool of himself, but I honestly knew at that moment, more than anything else, that he trusted me to say in that rep, taking this against my coach, I'm saying, don't worry about hurting me. Let's get this rep, let's get it right. He learned something, but he also built his confidence in that moment, and he entrusted me to help him do that. That is more valuable than money to me. I mean that wholeheartedly. It is more valuable to money, more valuable than money. So to you guys, I say, yes, Lord.
Hey, yes, Lord, to that. Because I had a coach who would run through a wall for me too.
Yeah.
And it's something different when that wall come up. I'm talking, that wall is expulsion, okay? And he ran through that wall to make sure I didn't get expelled, but I got a very, very short suspension. I'm talking about, and I'm not going to go into details what it was.
Right.
But the principal was there, the assistant principal, everybody was there, you know. And then here come my coach strolling into a meeting he had no business being out. You know, this is one of my kids. Yeah, it's a good kid. And this is the coach talking to the principal and assistant principal in a way that convinced them to say, okay, coach, it's on you. It's on you. Make sure he doesn't do anything that also affects you going forward.
For sure.
And, man, I made sure that I didn't do anything to jeopardize that man because he came and ran through that wall for me. And I don't know what would be my future right now if I would have got expelled at that time.
Right.
So shout out to all the coaches who are running through walls for their kids, because when that wall come up and they come through that door, man, hey, shout out to all the coaches who did that.
For sure, man. And I definitely agree wholeheartedly with that sentiment with those coaches, man. Shout out to the coaches that are like actually out here coaching. And when we talk about coaches, it's not relegated to your sport. Let's be totally clear on that. We ain't just relegated to X's and O's and whatever you do. It's a mentorship. Mm-hmm. You coach, you're still a coach even off the field, because you're coaching them not only at the sport that you coach, you're coaching them into the game of life. Yep. And I think we do lose sight of that. So I definitely want to shout those guys out every chance I get. Don't worry, we got a special episode coming up for you guys, man. I definitely want to give all you guys a flyer. There's too many to name. I know so many dope coaches, but we definitely going to highlight you guys in the future episode. But for now, getting into local hype. Yo, speaking of great coaches, shouts out Coach Andre Williams. Listen, new business. He is definitely a great person to talk to, a wonderful sounding board. He is also a professional therapist, and I wanted to shout him out because this is a new business venture for him, maybe in terms of business, but he's been doing this. So, for anybody that's dealing with, maybe depression, or you just, need somebody to talk to, whatever the case may be, dealing with your feelings and emotion, thought processes, definitely reach out to Mr. Andre Williams, professional therapist. You can find him on the website, www.transit.health. Again, that's www.transit.health. He's great. You can also reach him at 443-957-1102. Again, that's 443-957-1102. Shouts out to you, Coach Dre. He can definitely be a huge help to you. Also in local hype, I definitely want to take the shout out to another guy. He coaches basketball. He is also a great mentor and community leader in our very neighborhoods out there in the Essex community. Shouts out to you, Mr. Gus, or Coach Chase, as some people call him. Brick by Brick Behavioral Services. They provide academic, athletic, social and life skills, community service, and housing. They are one-stop shopping. Reach out to Mr. Gus Chase at 410-616-6333. Again, that's 410-616-6333. You can also find them at brickbybrickbehavioralservices.org. So, in local hype, I just want to give you guys your flowers because you're doing a lot of great work, and it's not just relegated to the sports you play. They are the epitome and example of what I mean by coaching beyond the sport. They care about the people in the community and their lives, and quite literally, we say it as a cliche or some type of euphemism, whatever the case is, these guys will quite literally give you the shirt off their backs. How do I know? Both of these guys have been there for me in pinches. So, shouts out to you, Coach Dre. Shout outs to you, Coach Gus. Thank you guys for all you do. And this has been another great episode of What's Going On in Sports, featuring yours truly, Coach Jack. Thank you for my man, Big Tony, for joining me and sitting there with me on this conversation. Signing out.